getting that rep as a young hog.
Like we always do.
Hell yeah.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to my podcast. Today's episode is going to be about mental health. What do we know about mental health? Probably not too much. Maybe we know a lot. Who are we to judge? I'm 46 years old now. What I'm noticing is a lot of my peers, a lot of people I grew up with, man, they're starting to show and have a lot of indications that there's a lot of problems there psychologically and maybe even biologically. I speak a lot about tapping into yourself and being conscious of yourself a lot because that's the most important thing, because you start to detect things. And we're caught in this rat race where you have to buy a house, you got to buy a car, and maybe 5 cars, and maybe you got to take trips, and you have to buy the flashiest clothes, and you have to buy all the jewelry because you want to look nice and you want to present yourself as a successful person amongst your peers. But if you don't take the time, if you don't push all that stuff away, and you don't ground yourself and start to tap into yourself to see how you handle things and how you feel about life, how you feel about your existence, if you don't take the time to assess that, then you're never going to pick up and detect any kind of concerns that could be there. I'm noticing that a lot of people my age, man, they're passing away. They're starting to show signs of mental health, bad too, like in a very extreme way. And no one's ever pointing things out. And what I use my platform for is I point a lot of things out, and it's offensive. I offend a lot of people. And I don't do it to offend people. I do it because these are real matters of life, and a lot of people don't even know how to assess themselves. A lot of people don't know how to take time for themselves. We hear like meditation, we hear prayer. Everyone has a different practice, but ultimately it means the same thing. It means you need to take time out of your day to assess yourself. How are you feeling today? When you take your lunch break, as you're eating your lunch, how are you feeling today? How do you feel about what's going on with yourself today? How have you been taking in life so far? And when you take time to do that, and the reason why people suggest meditation and prayer and things like that, because that's where you spend time with yourself. That's where you get to really analyze yourself, and you get to really talk to yourself. When they say you talk to God, it's like you're talking to yourself. You're talking to your consciousness. Everybody has a different interpretation of what God means. And me personally, I believe just by what makes sense to me is God is consciousness, right? So when you meditate and you speak to yourself and you tap in with yourself, you're speaking to your consciousness. I made an episode before where I spoke on how our systems, your spirit, whatever, picks up data throughout your life subconsciously, whether you understand it or not, right? And then it affects you. If you don't tap into that, it's going to affect you somehow. You know how they say if you hang around 9 broke people, you're going to be the 10th, and if you hang around 9 rich people, you're going to be the 10th. It's going to affect you, the things around you, whether you even know it or not. So I spoke on that before because that's the information that you have to take time away from. You have to disconnect from all distractions, and you have to tap into that, and then make sure you're filtering out that information that you picked up subconsciously, because it's there. A lot of us distract ourselves. We say, "Oh, I'm bored. I'm gonna get into something. Let me call the homies. See if my lady wants to go out to dinner," and you distract yourself by going somewhere. Right? You buy yourself a new toy or something. You get online. Social media is a very good tool to distract. So that's what we do. And we don't take the time to really, really assess how we feel. If you're bored, then take that time to tap into yourself. Say, how do I feel about everything? You know, how come I get a little bit upset when someone doesn't return my phone call? Why do I feel lonely? Why do I feel bored? You know, is there such a thing? Should I involve myself in something more meaningful? I obviously have time because I'm bored. I don't have anything to do. So all these things matter. All these things are important, but not everybody knows this. I'm 46 years old now, and a lot of my peers are starting to really show a lot of signs of problems, whether it could be biological mental health, meaning you're born with just, a situation where, you could have a problem, or lack of information produces the lack of processing, which produces stress, anxiety, frustration. The list goes on, and that ultimately that ends up in like depression and all that, and it becomes a problem. Sometimes people can't handle it. People commit suicide. People, they take substance, pills, alcohol, drugs, whatever the case may be, because they don't know how to handle it. They don't have the information of what to do. So they just do what they think they know, but they really don't know. So I use my platform for this kind of stuff, man, because I just feel it's important. And even though it sounds like it's not important, it's not the cool thing to talk about. I'm not talking about the latest rapper. I'm not talking about the latest clothing designer piece. I'm talking about things that we don't talk about on a regular basis. And none of us have anybody that we can really trust to talk about this with anyway. So I just feel like me producing this platform where my face is not even on here, and you guys just get to just listen to information about life that you can't listen to with anyone else. Everybody has an insecurity. Everyone has a guard up, and no one wants to really express themselves. And sometimes people act like they really need somebody to talk to, and then when you talk to them, they seem like they lose interest because that's not what they really wanted to hear. So it's really hard to trust. It's really hard to really assess people and take them serious for what they bring to the table, because it's always something else. But ultimately, we see it in their actions. We hear people are passing away, and it's like, well, how did that person pass away? Like, why? How did this happen? And a lot of their families try to keep it private, and we don't really understand. And it's tough. It's tough to watch because all they had to do was have somebody like myself to talk to or to listen to. And again, I make these podcasts and I never get a lot of views and I never get a lot of attention for them because it just seems like it's people, even though people need this type of talk, people still don't come to it because it brings up that subconscious information that they've been picking up, that they've been gathering. It brings that up and it's too much, So that's why you have to take time out of your day every day and break down how you feel about everything. If you feel like you're just too emotional about something, then figure out, why are you emotional about it? Why are you responding in that way? Why are you allowing it to move you in an emotional way? Why are you doing that? Because you have control to shift, right? You can allow something to make you angry. You can allow something to make you frustrated, sad, mad, whatever the case may be. You ultimately, you're the one who processes things. So that's why it's okay to tap into yourself throughout the day, all the time. I talk to myself every day, all day long. I talk to myself more than I talk to anybody else because I'm always in tune with myself. Is it weird? I don't care what it is to anybody else. This is what works for me. You can't tell me what's going on with me because you don't know me. Only I know me. See? And once you get to know yourself, you start to value yourself. And when you start to value yourself, you start to take care of yourself, at least your mental health. I ain't saying go to the gym and all that because that's a personal choice, whether you want to go do that as well. Outside of yourself is you can do whatever you want to do. But not many people tap in and work out the inside of themselves. And that's why I make this platform, and that's why I make these episodes, to help people get at least on the track to meditation or prayer, which all it really is you tapping into yourself and communicating with your consciousness and your subconsciousness. And I'll make an episode about that as well, so we can break that down. But the point of this episode was to let you guys know that it's okay to make assessment of yourself. And if you don't know how, you need to learn how. You need to find where can you get help to learn how to assess yourself, because you're going to find that later on, when it's too late, that perhaps you have a mental health issue. Perhaps you have some type of issue that you could have had some help on or help with. But again, you didn't trust nobody with that information. So now you're suffering for it. And the next thing you know, there's an accident, because it was too overwhelming. So before we get to that point, man, this is why I do what I do. And I hope that you guys got something out of this episode today. All right. Peace.